Hello again, everybody. This is the 2018 Center Grove High School football season. This is the pregame show sponsored by the Allstate Bontrager Insurance Agency Group. And alongside me, I have Coach Eric Moore. I'm Aaron Holt. And, Coach, we're excited for the beginning of this season. Nothing like potentially playing in the rain here at Ray Skillman Stadium against the #1 team in McFo Warren Central.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting night for all the Trojan football fans to get to come to the beautiful Ray Skillman Stadium and start the beginning of the 2018 season. Weather, we really don't care about the weather. We're an all-weather team, so just hopefully we can get started and get a fun night in of great football and great competition.
You know, last year we went up to Warren Central and had difficulty starting out the season. Got in a hole 27-0 at half, but made a valiant comeback. Ended up losing by 3 points, but seemed like the team going into that game was different than this year from the standpoint a lot of people had never had varsity experience in any meaningful minutes. This year, a lot different. You have your entire offensive backfield coming back, a lot of experience up front on both sides of the ball, and your corners have some experience as well.
Yeah, I mean, in high school, every year is a different story. You know, you lose the front, you got the backs. You lose the backs, you got the front. It's pretty much usual for a high school team to lose half and get half back. Last year we were very inexperienced in the skill positions, both offensively and defensively. This year, all of our skill guys pretty much are back, and the defensive backs that are claimed as first-year starters still got on the field and played a lot. But last year's football game, even though it was a loss, 27-24, was one of the greatest games of the year. In a lot of ways, it was the worst half of the year for us and one of the better halves of the year in the first game of the year. So that usually you can't come back and play that well after playing that poorly with a young team. But we truly found ourselves after the first half of that game. You never get used to the Warren Central speed and trying to tackle it and trying to block it and trying to run from it and run after it. And that really affected us last year in the first half of that game, and the turnovers. We just give them so much. We're hoping that we can, not give them the ball 3 times like we did last year in the first half, and then yet sit still and play a good physical football game.
Warren Central obviously is a perennial power, but they come in this year with arguably one of the best wide receivers in the country in David Bell. Just electric, has been for 4 years now for the Warriors, and he's going to really challenge and stretch the defense.
Yeah, challenge is a good word. He's a great, obviously, the state championship basketball team with Warren Central. He was the big star there, and he's the big star of the football team as well. They have a lot of other weapons they can go to besides David, but David Bell is as fine a young man as there is in high school football, and as fine a football player as we have in the state. So it's going to be really exciting to compete against him and at that level and see how our guys can match up against that level of a competitor. But hopefully in the win at the end of the game, we can have a little bit more than he does, and that's all I care about.
What's also interesting with Warren this year is they have a returning starter in their quarterback, Jaden George, but also they have a transfer from Cathedral who was the starting quarterback last year for the Irish, and it'll be interesting to see how they manage to play and get both of them on the field.
Interesting in this conference, we see a lot of people from other teams getting on one team every once in a while like this. So that's we've seen all these quarterbacks, and you really don't know which one's going to play or how long. Maybe they'll play both, maybe they'll play halves, maybe they'll play quarters, maybe they'll switch them in and out. Really don't know that, and it doesn't matter. They'll be doing the same things. Each one of them will. Each quarterback has a little bit better skill set than the other one does. One runs better, one throws better maybe. I don't know. It's still high school football. A lot of things got to happen up front, and we got to play our line play on defensively and offensively has got to be the thing that wins the game anyway, so it doesn't really matter about the quarterbacks.
Looking at the roster this year, one thing that's very glaring and sticks out is the size of our offensive line, and not obviously knowing who's going to get the starts tonight. We potentially have a line that could average somewhere around vicinity of 6'4", 300 pounds, and what's interesting about that is you go back to the John Madden days and you used to talk about the Hogs and the Redskins and how big that offensive line was in the NFL. Their average weight, I went back and looked the other day, is 6'3", 272. So I'd say high school football's changed a bit, and we've had some great lines in the past, not always the biggest, but this is by far the largest line we've had in quite some time.
Yeah, size sometimes doesn't matter. Sometimes it does matter in football. We're going to have to persevere and play against a lot of great quick defenses. I don't think tonight will really tell the story of the line. It's going to be a whole year season of getting better. We do have some size, like you said, we have probably good size, but still we got to block. We got to know our assignments. We got to get where we're supposed to. Sometimes it's you're a big guy. It's hard to run down those little guys in the backfield and try to block them. So it's going to be interesting. And Warren has a great size on their line as well. So these are two big lions going after each other. You mentioned the Hogs and the Redskins. We do have a throwback running back, like they had. So Carson Steele will be the difference of that, and we hope that he can run like the Hogs ran.
You mentioned Carson Steele. He's coming back. He's a lot stronger than he was a year ago. Last year during this interview, we didn't even know if he'd play in that game, and he comes out and has an electric second half, if you will, and ends up having a fantastic year. The other one that's changed a lot is Jackson, your son Jackson, and he's got experience under his belt now, but he's a few inches taller and a much stronger arm, and just really has grown into a young man.
Yeah, both those players have grown up a lot in the offseason. I will tell you this year, I will let Carson Steele play in the first half of this game. Hopefully we won't give him 3 fumbles, and we will let Carson play in the first half of the game. Who knows if that would have happened last year. But last year you were trying to get Carson used to the MIC football, and I didn't want to beat him up in the first half or the first game, actually. I'd planned on playing him in JV games and letting him have confidence, and he got a lot of confidence in the second half. So and everyone knows the story after that. We just, the season's not about Carson Steele. The season's not about Jackson Moore. The season's not about the offense and the defense. It's about everybody together. No one has to win the game, and no one themselves will lose the game. We tell our quarterbacks from Kyle Geiger in 1999 to Jackson in 2018, it's not the quarterback's job to win the game. It's the quarterback's job not to lose the game for us. Keep us in situations and do run the plays correctly and keep everybody organized. If you can make a big play, great. If you can't, we got people to do that. It's also not Carson Steele's job to come out here. I mean, he's carrying the football. We still have to have guys to block. We still have to have guys that tackle, too, on defense. So as it all starts, the defensive line is going to have to come to play against a very, very talented offense, and you got to go from there.
Speaking of the defensive line, it's anchored by Lucas Hunter, a senior and committed to Indiana State. He arguably had his best game in the opener last year. He really, really was a force up front against Warren last year, and hopefully he can do that again to start this season.
Yeah, he's a force up front. He's a big kid. He's mobile. He's very strong. We're hoping, though, that Brian Gaffney will be overlooked like he is by most defenses or offensive linemen, and his speed and athleticism will come through for us. And expect for Brian Gaffney to make some plays in the defensive in the Warren Central's offensive backfield tonight. We got a slew of new linebackers that are going to get to play tonight, and we'll let that unfold as it goes. But the experience on the defense is in the secondary, and those guys have got to step up and get us some turnovers, and especially get guys on the ground. If people get away, we got to get them on the ground. That's going to be the secondary's job.
One thing's for certain, it's the start of the season. The entire state's going to be looking at Ray Skillman Stadium because of Warren Central Center Grove. It's always a great one to start the entire Indiana State high school football season out on, and we wish you all the luck, and hopefully this will be a great year.
Well, we appreciate that. Again, welcome back for the 20th year of Trojan football for myself, and I'm real excited to bring the 20th Trojan football team out of the locker room tonight, and hopefully we can have a great victory against Warren Central. Go Trojans!